Hey everybody, I'm back. John Alite, ex-gangster, ex-mobster, advocate for kids, advocate against criminal life. We'll talk about incarceration, prison, jail, the truth behind what nobody wants to talk about, the suffering of an everyday inmate, not just while you're in jail, but when you come home from jail. I know what you want to hear about the glamorous parts, the parts of the traveling, owning nightclubs, fast cars, girls, the usual, the glitz, the glamour, the clothes, the jewelry, all the short-lived things that don't last long if you stay on the street. You don't want to talk about the suffering from the acts that you committed, murders, the violence, the stabbing, the baseball bat beatings, the stabbings and the battings and the shootings against you, and then eventually where we all end up, in the cemetery or in a prison. And anybody, the more serious you get, the more serious time you do. And while you're in those prisons, you leave your family. And this guy's just recently lost his mom, did a lot of time in jail, and you reflect back and say, I lost all those years spending time with my family, whether it's your mother, your father, your grandparents, because life moves on. And while you're in prison, they die, they get sick. Your children grow up without a parent, whether you're a woman or a man in prison. And you start to realize as the years go on, not as a young guy, because as a young guy, we don't understand it. We all go to jail, we come in and out, and we think it's worth it, and it's part of your education on the street that you must do some jail time. But when 5 and 10 and 15 years go by and you see your life go by, and now it's coming to the summertime, it's spring, and you have inmates, they're going to spend their life, some of them, the rest of their life in prison. Well, other guys are taking their family or their kids on vacation. They're going to the Bahamas. They're going to Europe. They're going to the beach. They're laying in a tanning booth somewhere. They're going to go for a steak dinner at night. They're going to walk in the park with their girlfriend in a nice breeze or with their wife. Or they're going to go to a park and play ball with their kids. And those guys in jail, they know what I'm talking about. And then you have the trolls out here. They never spent a day in jail. Or they spent a year or two, and they think they know what it is to get a life sentence or what it is to do 30 years. And they don't understand, or they do understand, but they want to be phonies. They don't want to help the next kid so they don't suffer. They want to behave as if they didn't cry in those cells, which they did. Crying because of physical pain, emotional pain, loss of life of somebody in their family, the destruction of their family, all the things that nobody wants to talk about because they're hard subjects. It's easy to talk about my nightclubs and all the fun I had, but it's not easy to talk about the personal trauma that you suffer, your family suffers, the loss of closeness between a father and a son, a father and a daughter, or somebody like myself, after all the years of prisons, you come home and try to reestablish your life and you lose your daughter. There's no pain like that. You can't get those years back. And any of you that experience this, they know what I'm talking about. Years of solitary confinement, years of being black boxed, belly chained, leg iron chained, time without conversation, to know if your kids graduated, to walk them through their graduation, to walk them through prom, to walk them down the aisle when they get married. There's so many guys that lost the opportunity to do all those things. And the thing is, you can't recapture it. As much as it hurts you, it's going to hurt you every day for the rest of your life. And whatever effect it had on you, it probably had double and triple on your children. And as a young guy, we're selfish and we don't understand it. As you get older, you understand the mental suffering that family members and your children have without a dad and mom around. That's the subject you got to talk about. So when I wrote my book, Prison Rules, and Nick Christopher helped me write that, co-authored it, and we discussed some of those details. And you talk about things like taking a shower. And you have guys like now, jailhouse calls that I'm not taking because we're on studio. That you got to understand, you walk to take a shower and you take for granted when you're in your house and you can sit in a tub. But when you're in prison, you wear shower shoes because guys are pissing in the shower, shitting drugs out in the shower, whatever else is going on in the shower. A simple thing like a shower. You can't even take that in comfort. Your food, you're eating food that's probably cost the government about $1.20 a meal. You wouldn't feed it to your dog or cat on the street, but we eat it in prison. So when, like last night, I'm out at Ruth Chris having dinner, a steak dinner, and having a drink, and there's people in prisons that are suffering, friends of mine, family members of mine, that are in prison and they don't get the luxury of what we get. You forget what it is to put on a nice sweater, a nice pair of loafers, shorts, and just relax and sit by a lake or park or a beach. And when you have the insecure guys giving these kids a false belief in a life that's a dead end, that's a life of pain and suffering, those same guys are giving, either they don't care about their family members or they don't care about their children to even give them the belief that this life is worth something. They can't possibly love their kids or just too insecure to tell their kids the truth, that they were in a jail cell suffering or they were crying or they were frustrated or the violence or the fighting that goes on with it. Those are the jail stories and the mob stories we should be telling. Guys that never came home to their family again and died in prison, whether they died of natural causes, suffering through cancer, or they were murdered in prison. That's the reality of that world. The retribution of whatever you did on the street may follow you into those prison cells. When you shower and they chain you with one arm to the bars, so you only shower with one hand. When you got to take a shit and they won't give you toilet paper to go to the bathroom. When you have some idiot, insecure guard that's trying to abuse you and give you a direct order to pick something up and you tell him to go fuck himself, so they put you back in solitary confinement so you can't talk to your family again. When somebody you love on the street has cancer, is suffering from another disease, you can't see him. When you have a family member that's murdered on the street, car accident on the street, and you can't make the phone call to them, never talk to them again, or while they're in the hospital fighting for their life, you can't have a conversation with them, or you can't possibly be a father from 300 minutes on a telephone a month, or an email with the new technology, and you try to lie to yourself and believe that you're a father or a mother from jail, just doesn't work. That's the reality of prison that nobody wants to talk about. So where's the glamour in that? Where's the father or mother in that? What'd you do to your kids in that? And the insecurities of the guys that pretend they were gangsters on the street, never did no time, never did no real crime. You guys answer it. Because you know you're full of shit. The life's no good. I just happen to talk straight. Most people don't. You want to hear more about jailhouse stories? We'll continue it on the next episode. Thanks, everybody, for listening. I hope you take the right path, whoever's listening to this that's working or going to school. And if you're not, change your life before you go to jail and ruin your life. See you all on the next episode.